Rina, thank you so much for your time. He says it's time for the next generation of political leadership. Why do you think Senator McConnell opted to make this announcement now?
I think there are a couple layers here. First of all, being his health. Let's not forget, in just the past year, we saw two moments that were public in which he froze up. And that was something that gave a lot of his colleagues in the Senate, of course, those across leadership in Washington that are Republicans, great pause because, of course, we all are mortal and we realize our mortality, but it's those moments that shine a light on really what is the question here? Who would come next if Mitch McConnell were unable to do the job? And I think, again, that has sort of hit his consciousness. His ability to do the job has been impeded in moments, and therefore he's doing the right thing. But he hasn't indicated just who he'd pass the baton to. And frankly, if this decision has anything at all to do with the upcoming election, in which Trump is looking like he's back in good graces after many, not years, but months of there being moments in which people speculated about just how good this leader, McConnell, felt about Trump. And let's not forget, in the aftermath of January 6th, it was McConnell and other top Republicans who really tried to distance themselves from Trump, indicate that he should do the right thing, and have essentially soured on who, again, is looking like will be the presumptive nominee for Republicans for the White House this year.
And Rina, Senator McConnell is an old school traditionalist. He'd certainly be defined that way by many. Then there is this far right section of the party. Now, the senator did not give a specific reason for stepping down, but how much of this do you think has to do with how the Republican Party is evolving?
I think this is the question that will be asked daily from here on out. Is McConnell doing this in this moment because it just seems like, again, somebody like Senator John Thune, who is pretty much an heir apparent, another top Republican in the Senate who has endorsed Trump. Is McConnell doing this because he wants to make way for this generation of leadership who will have Trump's back, who will not be lukewarm about Trump, who are willing to endorse him despite, again, the former president's actions in relation to January 6th and other stances that have been somewhat unpopular with what would be considered the Republican establishment? These are, again, the questions that we all should be asking. But I do think there's a tremendous loss here. And this loss was highlighted, I must add, Nichole, by the fact that Speaker Johnson was barked at in the Oval Office this week. There is a real institutional knowledge that is going to be lost with McConnell moving on. And I do think the time is right. In fact, I wish it had happened sooner, that McConnell would have announced he was stepping down, because I think that would give time for another leader to sort of have time to be seen more favorably by their colleagues as the next leader. But again, this is a moment in which we have to see what is really at stake here for the institution that is the Senate. Will there be a strong, capable leader that has a great deal of institutional knowledge to move it forward? Because in the House, Speaker Johnson lacked that as a rookie.
And Rina, you talked about, who is next. Always in Washington, they're always looking forward, obviously. In his speech today on the Senate floor in front of his colleagues, he said he will pick his replacement. Who do you think that could be?
Well, I do think it is somebody that we know. And so Senator Thune is a great first name that comes to mind. But I also think Senator Joni Ernst is somebody that is very also beloved and has had a steady hand when it comes to leadership in serving, again, in the Senate leadership in more junior roles. So I'd like to see it be her, because she represents the heartland. She was very vocal in her, in how she felt the primary should play out in her state. And so this is a woman that I think is very capable. But again, Thune has really been seen by McConnell's side for years now. So I would not be surprised if it's Thune, but it's got to be somebody, again, that's known, because I think taking a chance on somebody somewhat completely unknown, which is kind of hard to do on the Senate side anyway, just wouldn't be the right move because, again, the Senate Republicans need somebody who brings a mastery almost, the ability to bring together their colleagues. And that is what's required of this job.
Yeah, and he said on the Senate floor, there was one thing he knows. He absolutely knows politics. He has the experience. He's again, that old school traditional Republican. He is lauded by that for many in his party. But on the other side of that, on the flip side, he's not afraid to step on toes. Many times he really seemed to take joy in stepping on toes. What do you think he'll be remembered for most?
I think he'll be remembered as being a masterful strategist. Somebody.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.